Hello everyone, this is Professor Thompson again, and this is video number 2 of the course, which follows the welcome video. This video specifically will look at the chapters for the course and the modules that you are expected to complete for the course. So as I mentioned in the welcome video, you have an electronic textbook. In each unit, 1, 2, and 3 of the course, I have specific chapters that are loaded in. My philosophy is you read the chapter first, you practice information about that chapter and review the information, and then finally you take a formal assessment or a quiz for the chapter. We do not have any midterm examination, nor do we have any final examination. So to me, it's important that you read, you practice, and you assess each chapter along the way in this course. It's also my hope and the goal that you take the information that you read about and practice about in the class, and you then use that information to be successful in your presentations that are also connected to each unit. So for instance, in unit number 1, you have 5 chapters that you need to complete. All of those chapters are due prior to March 28th. That information will also help you be successful on the speech that is due on March 28th. Those chapters that you must complete in the first unit are chapter 1, 9, 10, 11, and 12 in your electronic book. So as you click into unit number 1, you will notice that these chapter links to your Learn Smart electronic textbook are clearly labeled. You'll want to click in to access that electronic text. Take time to read the chapter and familiarize yourself with the information. You're going to notice that there are going to be certain aspects of the textbook that you can toggle with. You can choose to highlight information within the textbook. You can choose to bold some information. You can make some information kind of fade out. But once you've actually read through the entire chapter, in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to want to take your cursor and go to the upper left-hand corner of your electronic chapter, and there's a menu. You're going to want to click on that menu button, and you're going to want to go down to where it says Practice, and you're going to click on Practice once you've read. These practice questions that you're going to get after you choose Practice from the menu, those are called Learn Smart modules. These Learn Smart modules are a review of the chapter that you read. I guess if you were to compare them to something maybe in a face-to-face type of situation, these would be similar to flashcards, right? Now, McGraw-Hill, the publisher, does not call them flashcards. These are actual module type of questions. They're to assess how well you've retained information. But I think of them as flashcards. It's going to ask a question of you, and it's going to ask you whether you think you know it, you don't really know it, you absolutely know it. So it asks for a confidence level in addition to what the actual answer is. What this lets me know is a lot of back-end information and statistics and analytics on you as a student. It gives me information about your confidence. It will give me information about, the ones that you thought you knew and you absolutely knew, the ones you thought you knew and you were wrong. So I can begin to pull different data points from all of you taking these quizzes by the completion of a unit. It gives me a more full picture of how you're doing in the course, what you're doing well, what you're struggling at. Okay, the other thing that is important to know about these modules and these practice questions is that This is an adaptive learning technology, okay? So not everybody is going to get the same questions, and not everybody is going to get the same amount of questions. When I say that these modules are adaptive learning technology, it really means the more you know the information, the less review questions you will get. So it's in your benefit it is to your benefit to know the information and get the questions right, because you will get less questions from the computer. So if you get a bunch of questions wrong and you didn't read the chapter and you just go to the preview and start to work on the module, it might double the amount of time and you might get double the amount of questions because you're getting questions wrong. So you're always best served to get things right. These modules are graded on a completion basis. So each chapter I've set up or designated a practice time, like a hypothetical window. So for instance, chapter 1, I set it at 15 minutes. Now, if you get questions right and you read really well and you remember things, you might actually finish in 6 or 7 minutes because you got it right. But if you struggled, you didn't read, you're going to get more questions, like I said. And while I set it at 15 minutes, it might take you 33 minutes to finish the module. So, to your advantage to do well. Again, it's graded on a completion basis. So as long as you finish all the questions that it wants to ask you for that chapter, based on how well you're answering them, you're going to get 20 out of 20 points. If we reach the end of a unit and you don't finish a module, you only finish, say, 62% of that module, what you end up getting is 62% of 20 points. So it's a partial score. After you've done the reading of the chapter and the practice module of the chapter, you want to go back to the actual unit tab. So for chapter 1, you would then go back to unit 1 tab and you would scroll down till you get to the chapter 1 quiz. After each chapter reading, chapter module practice session, you then want to take the formal assessment quiz. I've always provided a different individual link for each quiz in the units. You'll click into that quiz, and then that is your formal assessment. It is also 20 points, but this is where if you've read well and you've practiced well, you're generally going to get 20 out of 20, 18 out of 20, because they're very similar questions to the practice questions. If you don't read the chapter and you just jump into the quiz right away, it's completely plausible that you might get 6 out of 20 points, 8 out of 20 points. You're going to struggle. So you want to make sure that as you complete the course, that you're making an effort to go through the phases for your success. Read, practice, assess. Read, practice, assess. All right, if you have any questions on those practice modules, the chapter readings, or the quizzes, please let me know. I'm always available by email. That's the best way to reach me if you have a concern or question. All right? I'm going to produce video number 3 here in a short while. I would recommend looking at video number 3 that will discuss information on your first presentation and the presentations throughout the term.